here have been doing this for decades, 50+ years. Yes, Dr. Goodman. And we have seen this spike in violence during the pandemic. And in our office, in the Manhattan Days office, every day, obviously, we are working on the enforcement side. We are doing gun trafficking cases. Last week, we announced 2 ghost gun cases. But we all know that enforcement is only a piece of the puzzle. We must be investing on the prevention side. And so today we are here to do that. And just for context, for those who don't know, we're focusing on our youth because we see the youth need our help. On March 13th, a 14-year-old was shot on the grounds of Grant House. On March 30th, 2 15-year-old boys were shot on the grounds of the East River House. On May 7th, a 13-year-old and a 14-year-old were shot near the corner of 110th Street and 5th Avenue. So we want to reach folks before the incidents. The best case we can bring is the case we don't have to bring because we've intervened. And so while we'll continue to do our enforcement work, we know that we need to really invest. And just for those who don't know, I know those behind me know, but for those who don't know, be a word about youth gun violence. It is a relatively small number of people. I grew up here, I live here. This is a vibrant community full of people who are loving this community. And the gun violence is driven by a very, very small number of people. And what we do in our enforcement work is we focus on those groups. We focus on those groups of people who are doing and driving the violence. But there are so many more that are on the edge and need our assistance that we need to reach out to. We know that what puts you at risk for gun violence is if you are around gun violence. And so using our data and our intelligence, we are looking to invest here. So what are we doing today? We are announcing grants really on the eve of summer because we've all lived through a number of hot summers. And we know what that means for adults, and we know what that means for youth, and most importantly, we know what that means for our violence. So we're here at the beginning of June, the beginning of Gun Awareness Month, to talk about intervention efforts. So the office is going to be awarding $20,000 to up to 10 community-based organizations. Funding is going to be administered as we've done in the past in partnership with the CUNY Institute for State and Local Government. So I want to acknowledge them. Recipient organizations will pay stipends to young New Yorkers, ages 15 to 26 years old. And for 2 different types of programs, either to engage in meaningful programming themselves, that could be cognitive behavioral therapy, restorative justice, civic engagement, and other projects like that, or projects to beautify public spaces that we know are locations for gun violence. And this is proven that the research shows when we beautify our neighborhoods, violence goes down. The physical enhancement projects will target known violence hotspots and may include things like planting a garden in an empty lot, painting a mural on a corner plagued by violence. Studies have shown that this type of beautification, these type of enhancements, reduce gun violence in surrounding blocks by up to 30%. Let me just say that again for those who don't know the research. This type of project has been shown to reduce gun violence in the surrounding areas by up to 30%. So the funding will be awarded to organizations that employ models like our Credible Messenger model or a similar approach with a demonstrated track record of engaging our young people who are at risk for gun violence. And I said it was fitting that we were here in this specific place. I want to unpack that. We are here where the gun violence is. And so priority is going to be given to community-based organizations where we see the highest gun violence. And that's here in Central Harlem, among other places. That is East Harlem, that's Inwoods, that's Washington Heights, and that's the Lower East Side. The application is now on our website. We're encouraging people, as I said, summer is fast approaching, so we're trying to get this up and running and get the meaningful projects done, and also the money into the hands of the folks who can make direct impact and complement our enforcement work. As I said from the beginning, June is Gun Violence Prevention Month, and so this is the first of many. We're going to be back up in East Harlem tomorrow with SAVE and the 25th Precinct Community Council. On June 18th, we're going to have our Art of Healing Festival on East 120th Street at PS7. And then on June 25th, with all these partners here, we're going to be doing a gun buyback because we know getting the guns off the street is essential to this endeavor. So I left them for last on purpose. I want to thank our NYPD partners. I think it's essential that I say this. We work every day on the enforcement side of the ledger, building cases hand in hand, and that's important. That is an important piece of the puzzle. As your district attorney, we are prioritizing that. But I want to also let you know they're out here on the investment side as well, and they're out here standing shoulder to shoulder with community leaders, like I said, some of whom have been fighting this fight for 50 plus years. So I think we say in some of our places protocol has been observed. I see a couple people join us. Our borough president's office, our Congress member. I know I didn't say everyone by name because if I say everyone by name, I get in trouble if I leave one out. I know my folks, but let me just say to the group, because we've been talking about this, we've been talking about the gun buyback. I believe firmly in government and partnership, and that's why we're not down at One Hogan Place. We're here with the community leaders who are going to be talking to folks to get the applications, to talking to folks who are on the ground, because that's how we're going to solve this crisis. So with that, let me stop talking and turn it over to our Congressman. Yes. Thank you. I didn't give you a rousing introduction. I wanted to give people time, but let me just say, we were out last Saturday up in Washington Heights, and it's an honor to serve side by side with a Congress member out in the neighborhoods where the people are.
Thank you. Thank you, DA, for this great initiative. These grants are going to be so helpful to communities and community-based organizations because prevention is everything. Really, prevention is everything. And of course, this gun buyback program, I look forward to being with the DA as we retrieve these guns from the street. And every time you retrieve a weapon, you could be saving as many as 3 lives. And so this is so important for us to engage in this action. Tomorrow, which is National Day Against Gun Violence, I will be starting the morning at a public school in the Bronx part of the district where there's a lot of gang-related violence. And the school is really, the parents in the school and the administrators in the school are really afraid. And they've asked me to go out there in the morning and speak to the parents about what we can do together to stop this type of violence. Then I will be going to 153rd Street to my old neighborhood where I grew up, Sugar Hill. Many people don't know I'm not from Washington Heights necessarily. I'm from Sugar Hill. And so I grew up there on 153rd Street, and we will be walking from 153rd Street in Amsterdam, and I was trying to be able to the grand houses where he said there's been a death related to gun violence. And the parents would walk to tell the rest of the world that with this we mean that we're meaningful and we're importantly getting engaged in taking back our neighborhoods. Right. And then after that, we'll go up to the vigil in Inwood to raise our voices there as well. But as we speak today, the Judiciary Committee in Congress is deliberating in a package of gun control laws that include, Mr. DA, to raise the lawful age to purchase a semi-automatic weapon. Now, I don't think anybody should have access to a semi-automatic war weapon. It's beyond me why you need to walk around with a war machine in your hand. No one should have access to that, but at the very least, you know, if you're 21. If you're 18, you can't buy a bottle of liquor. If you're 18, you may not be able to purchase a pack of cigarettes. But you can go out and get an R-15. So this piece of legislation will have that. In addition to that, it will establish new federal offenses for the import, sale, manufacture, and transfer and possession of large capacity magazines in the weapon. It would also establish new federal offenses for gun trafficking and straw purchases, and authorizes the seizure of property or proceeds from that offense. It establishes voluntary best practices for the storage of firearms. It also establishes requirements to regulate the storage of firearms, and it builds on the ATF's regulatory of bump stocks. And finally, it regulates ghost guns. And we heard from the DA that he made, I believe it was last week or last month, 2 arrests on ghost guns. Unfortunately, ghost gun, that's my bill, as well as Rep. Cicilline's bill on regulating ghost guns. Now, President Biden said it, I think, best. You assemble a piece of furniture, and at the end of the day, you have a table, you have a sofa, you have some level of some furniture. But when you assemble a ghost gun, you wind up with a 9mm in your hand. You wind up with a semi-automatic weapon in your hand with no serial number, no way to trace it, and with the capacity to commit a crime, horrendous crimes across the country. So we must regulate them, and this piece of legislation is being dealt with today in the Judiciary Committee, and that we will vote on next week when we go back to Washington is the beginning, I believe, the beginning of what we must do to tackle gun violence across our nation. But DA, thank you for your efforts. I look forward to ensuring that community groups apply for these grants, and also I will be participating with you to get some guns off the street. Thank you so much.